Hello and welcome to the 12th episode of the Meet the Entrepreneur podcast. This is ARTEEN ZAHIRI and I am the host of this feature. Today we are speaking with Jessica Toe, co-founder and CEO of Huckleberry. Huckleberry is on a mission to democratize access to child wellness specialists so that every parent can have personalized guidance to raise happy, healthy families. Huckleberry's first product improves children's sleep. By combining human experts with AI, the intuitive app and service understands each sleep situation, predicts what will happen, and provides a personalized, easy-to-follow program that results in better sleep.
Yeah, at Huckleberry Labs, currently, we make a good night's sleep possible for every family. People use Huckleberry, over 1 million now, 4.9 out of 5 stars on the App Store, with sentiments like, it's like voodoo, it's like black magic. And the reason why is because they use Huckleberry and their kid goes from taking short cat naps to sleeping 90 minutes and to sleeping through the night. Now, that's where we started, and we have grand visions to expand and create this magical experience beyond sleep and get into becoming the go-to resource for families for all the things that you're supposed to figure out in between what the pediatrician can help you with and what teachers can help you with.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Jessica. And one thing that was really, interesting when I was doing research is the inception of Huckleberry came from something you experienced firsthand.
Yes.
You
For
with
better
your
or worse in
family,
this case.
right? And your son Ethan. I'd love for you to kind of dive into that and maybe talk about your experience. The kind of resources that you looked out for, and why you felt there was a gap in the market that led to you, creating this company.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you had asked me in college, like, "Oh, what kind of company do you wanna start?" I would not at all have been around children, and not sleep either, but, I always tell people it's a good thing babies and kids are so cute because it's like it could take superhuman strength sometimes to, navigate the different things, and my son woke up every 2 to 3 hours for 20 months, which is crazy. I mean, like, if you pulled an all-nighter one night, you already know how you feel the next day. So just imagine waking up every 2 to 3 hours for that long. But it certainly wasn't for lack of trying things. Like, I had read multiple books, spoke with the pediatrician, the nurse practitioner. I tried it all, and it just wasn't working. And so my background is actually more on the data and engineering side. Undergrad, I was at Berkeley. I did a triple major in electrical engineering, computer science, math, and statistics, and was working in software. So I'm like, okay, let's see. My natural approach is like, let me just track everything and see if I could find something interesting. And the thing was that there was some interesting things that came out, but it wasn't until then pairing up with the pediatric experts and combining the two, the data and the human expertise, when the magic really started to happen. And I saw, if I'm helping myself, I mean, it turns out sleep is the number one challenge for new parents. I could help a lot of other people as well.
Absolutely. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe your husband is also actively involved and a co-founder of the business as well.
Yes. Yeah. So we are a husband and wife team. Honestly, like, it works great for us, though I could never imagine my parents successfully starting a company together. I feel like it just has to fit the personalities, and for us, it works really well. We just make like, it's work-life harmony. Like, everything just sort of meshes together. And I think also one advantage is, like, where are we not working on the same thing? Okay, because starting a company, running a company just takes a ton of time, all your time. And so if one person is spending all their time on it, then I feel like for the other person, it can be kind of tough. But if you're both working on it and it's like, oh, you're working late to, figure out that bug. Okay, great. It's like you're in it together, and it's just worked out really well for us.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think what you've been able to establish with your family is extremely unique. You know, so many founders and entrepreneurs struggle with the concept of a work-life balance. Like you said,
Mm,
starting a company, you have to devote so much time to it in the early stages. It can be difficult for those that do have a family to, you know, attend to their family as they would like to. In your case,
mm,
you know, you're working on it with your husband and wife team. And the company you're building, you know, was partly because you wanted to help your 18-month-old son or sleep better. So you've
mhm,
kind of created this work-life integration or work-life harmony, where
mhm.
you and your husband are working to really improve the life of your family in particular, and then extend it to other families as well. So definitely very unique. And like you said, it's not something that would work for every husband and wife combo, but it seems to have worked in this case. Although
Exactly.
one thing that was interesting to me is I saw that you both have that computer science background. Is that correct?
Hmm. It is, yeah. So, I will say, I think like when you talk to husband wife teams, they all say it really helps to focus on different areas. And so like he's the CTO, he takes care of all of the technical side. Although I have a technical background, my interests have always been in the other areas. And so um, honestly, like I came upon majoring in electrical engineering and computer science a little bit happenstance. I had always I thought I was going to major in business, um, but then someone one day was like, "Hey, I feel like why don't you try engineering? You can always switch out of it." And so that's what I did. I went down the list and I didn't like chemistry, and I was like, "This is the one that doesn't require chemistry," and so that's how it happened. But then I know, like, in classes and in college, the things that I really gravitated towards and loved, honestly, were the psychology classes. I was president of two organizations, and I loved doing that. And so I just found myself really getting enlivened from those kinds of things. But it's good to have the technical foundation, though.
Right, it is. But that's awesome. Like this, you know, with your technical background, you have this kind of natural interest and passion for management, which I'm sure has been very helpful. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And one thing I wanted to ask you about, and maybe this is where your management experience helped you. So your one of the things that's very impressive is your mobile app has really strong reviews, almost like 5-star rating on App Store, iOS and Android, and across not just a couple hundred, but there's thousands of reviews out there. I know a lot of people I speak to in the entrepreneur community that are in the early stages
Mm,
of developing a mobile app. They find it
yeah.
difficult to reach that kind of level of virality. You know, they're trying to get a lot of people to download their app without, you know, they don't have massive digital marketing budgets to really get the word
Yeah.
out. How did Huckleberry, you know, become so popular and get so many people to download the app and leave positive reviews?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I think so definitely was around just having a really great product. That's like, if you don't have that, it's gonna be really hard. But honestly, like, even if you have a good product, you still have to get it out there and for people to try it. And so for us, what really got the ball rolling actually was, one of my MBA friends in, Toronto. She was part of this Facebook moms group for moms in Toronto, and she was a Huckleberry. Like she tried it out as a beta user, and so she let people know about it, and then it just started spreading from there. And then people who are in the Toronto moms group, they're also part of other groups, and so on Facebook, there's like these massive groups all about trying to figure out how to get your baby to sleep, and so it started getting shared there, and and then now, like, I'll hear, like, I got a message from somebody who said that she's like sitting in this um, baby care class, and the instructor said, "This is Huckleberry is the number one app that she gets recommended by parents." Or like somebody else will like text me a message from a friend that she just got saying this Huckleberry app is amazing, and like a picture of her son and a picture of the Huckleberry screen where it's like the son's gonna fall asleep at 1 p.m. and it's like 12:59 and the son's eyes are closing. So it's just like those kinds of things they get word of mouth when it's like, something people are struggling with and you found a solution.
Yep, absolutely. And I think one thing that's paramount there is within the mom community, I guess you could call it, there seems to be this natural inclination of moms trying to help out other moms,
Yeah.
with these groups that you mentioned, and there's just a lot of resource sharing, which
Yeah,
I'm sure definitely helped Huckleberry take off in the early stages.
definitely. Yeah. And it's interesting because on the one hand, there's a ton of competition. Like everybody's trying to reach moms. They like they do all the spending. Also, like especially when you have a baby, you're like all your brand affinities are changing. You're doing 3 times more Google searches than the average person. So on the one hand, it's very crowded, but on the other hand, when this demographic finds something that they like, they will definitely tell other people about it.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah, that's really cool to hear. And I think one of the things you touched on is, after you received your degree, you were starting to work in the industry at various companies.
Hmm.
I guess what made you decide that now is the right time for me to quit
Oh
quit my
yeah,
job and start Huckleberry and do that full time?
yeah. Okay. So I always knew I was going to start something, but honestly, it did take um a lot to kind of like jump off that cliff and do it. So like as a kid, I would, kids they play fireman or teacher, and I would play business owner, and I had this like, Lego briefcase, and I'd make stuff and sell them around, and like make signs to advertise things that I made. Um, and like in high school, I did this entrepreneurship program one summer that was sponsored by the Kaufman Foundation. But like, so I always knew that I was going to do it at someday, but never quite number one really like had the idea that I felt was the thing that I wanted to give it all up for. But then also it's kind of like it's a big plunge, right? You're like taking yourself off of the corporate track and you're gonna like try to do this thing and make no money for a while. Um, so one thing that I found really helped was in the so I I did an MBA, and in that program concentrated in entrepreneurship. Um, and I found it so helpful just to be around a lot of other people who were also starting up companies. I feel like what you end up doing is very much influenced just by what everyone else is doing around you and what just seems normal. So, as much as we like to think we're so individual and we go against the grain, I mean, a lot of it is just like what feels normal around you. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's what I'm doing too. And so it really helped to just be around other people who were also starting things up. And
Yeah,
then
that's
Huckleberry just felt like the thing. It was like academic, professional, and personal experiences all combining.
absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say that's so true. Myself being a Babson student, there was so many
Yeah,
kids, starting their own things, and that just kind of, I guess, gives me the entrepreneurial itch to start something myself. And I guess maybe that's part of the reason I started Startup Society. Perhaps is just being in an ecosystem where other people are doing those things.
yeah.
I guess it kind of gives you that extra push to do it. Um, so thank you for sharing that. And I guess on that topic, the concept of going to B school and getting the MBA is
Mm.
another thing that I know a lot of our viewers have grappled with,
Mm.
including a lot of people that I personally know. What was your take on that? I
Yeah.
know for you, not having a bachelor's degree in business probably led it to make more sense. But I'm curious, what was your reasoning for going and grabbing the MBA?
Yeah. So yeah, like you'll like definitely hear different takes on it. Like people will be like, save the money, just like put it into the startup idea. I think if I had a startup idea that I was like, oh, like this is it, then maybe I would have done that. But I didn't have it at that point. And just like you said, my undergrad was all technical, and I felt like I just wanted a good foundation of everything, such that I might not be an expert in any of those fields like finance or marketing or strategy or any of those, but I know enough to be able to learn more and to know what I don't know and to seek out experts in different areas. So I felt like that was really helpful. I also didn't need to go into debt to go for the MBA program. I think that's a very different story if you have to go into debt to do it. Because especially if you feel like you want to start something up, then it's going to be hard to pay that back anytime soon. So, so there's that. Also at the time, so I did my MBA at the University of Cambridge. At the time, I thought that we were going to be there like forever. And I felt like it was a really great way to get into the ecosystem in England and to establish roots there. So now I'm back in the US, so there's that, but you just don't know what the future holds.
That's interesting. Yeah, but I think what you said makes sense. It's going to vary person to person whether the MBA route makes sense for you. It's a number of those factors that you mentioned. Like, do you already have an idea, or are you still thinking about various things? Do you have the funds? We need to take out loans. All those things, which makes it, the answer is going to be different for each person. But that's helpful to hear your perspective. Turning it back to Huckleberry, obviously you've now built out a team, not a very large team, but you have a team in place, and it will continue to expand as your company grows. Maybe you can talk a bit about the process of finding the right people for your company, getting a team in place, kind of what were the departments that you really wanted to fill out first. What was that team building experience like, and what are your plans for future growth and headcount?
Yeah, great question. So at the beginning, it's like we did rely on, like our first engineering hire was somebody that we knew from Berkeley. He did his PhD there. I went to undergrad with him, and Sang, the CTO, was in grad school with him. And I feel like at the beginning, it's people, because like they need to know you well enough to be crazy enough to to join you in this like very, very early stage thing with like nothing proven. Like we're like going out and building something from scratch. And so, so definitely started there. But, and then beyond that, it was like, also we had like no budget to bring people on. And so it was, like, there's no way that we could go out and like pay people the like Silicon Valley rates, but a great dream and a really great mission. And so we had to find people who really saw it. Jean, our marketing director, she was our first marketing hire, and she was like, she knew from the first conversation, she's like, this is it. This is like, I'm leaving Nike for this. I'm going to change the world. And of course the goal is that, she will, and we all will, get the value many times over versus, having not started this journey. But it's so important to get those people who are just true believers early on. And also, like, there's some other things I should have hired earlier. I think, at the beginning, you're so scrappy that you're just trying to do everything that you can yourself. But, or at least that's the way it was for me anyway. And there's like certain things where it's like, I should have just hired for that way sooner, and we would have made faster progress was I not trying to do it all myself.
Yep. Thank you for sharing that. Great. Well, we're with our last, 5 or 6 minutes here. Would love to hear from you. What would you say so far have been Huckleberry Labs, greatest milestones to date that you're most proud of? And then going on from that afterwards, I'd love to hear what's next in store. What are your future goals for the rest of 2021 and beyond?
Yes, definitely most proud of, well, an amazing team, but I think more objectively, just being able to have really great growth. Like our metrics are amazing, but most importantly, just that 4.9 out of 5 stars on the App Store. Like with 80% coming through organically, it's like people talk about it because they are actually getting better sleep. Their kid is getting better sleep. They are getting better sleep. And there's so many ramifications of what that means. There's all this research that ties good. No. If you're getting chronically poor sleep, it's tied to poor school performance, aggression, hyperactivity, maternal depression. Like there's so many things that we are really tangibly helping people with. But and we don't want to stop there. And so to your point about what's next, this coming year we are tripling our team to be able to aggressively expand out from sleep into other areas as well. So we have things around feeding coming. We've been doing a lot of research into tantrums. There's just so many exciting things that we're going to be able to help parents with.
Awesome, awesome. You know, I know you definitely are going to have very, very aggressive growth expectations coming up, and you know, when you have a product that works as well as yours does, it makes it a lot easier to hit those goals. Awesome. Well, last question I have for you. I love the logo. I'm curious, where did the name Huckleberry come from?
It was totally like that Silicon Valley episode where they're trying to come up with the name. Like it was taken. They're like, no, it was perfect. It's so hard to come up with a name. But what we were really looking for was something that felt fresh, not too like techie or not too childish either. And Huckleberry has some really interesting meanings. One is from this movie called Tombstone. Doc Holliday says, I'm your Huckleberry. And what that means is I'm the right person for the job at the right time. And so we're that for parents. We're like, you need some help here? We got you. And then also there's this song Moon River that has the term Huckleberry friend, and we're your friend. There's also this term called the Huckleberry to your persimmon. And so a huckleberry, it actually just looks like a wild blueberry. And then persimmon is, of course, bigger and orange. And so what that means is it's that little extra bit that makes it special. And so we're that little extra bit that can just make life, you know, easier, better, and thriving.